to hear a reading of a declaration. A declaration which has been ratified by the Continental Congress in Philadelphia on the 4th of July. A declaration that will declare our freedom from British tyranny from this time forward. Under our own flag, made by the citizens of Easton. In the presence of Colonel Kitchline's local volunteer, which leaves for New York to join General Washington to defend it with good Pennsylvania rifles. Liberty or death! It is my honor to read to you this declaration. A declaration written by Thomas Jefferson of Virginia, John Adams of Massachusetts, and Pennsylvania's own, the Honorable, esteemed Dr. Benjamin Franklin of Pennsylvania. Citizens of Easton and Northampton County, will you hear this document read? Yes! In Congress, July 4th, 1776, a declaration by the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress assembled. When, in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes that impel them to the separation.
'Tis treason! 'Tis liberty!
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
God save the king!
That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, laying its principles and foundations on such form as to them seems most likely to affect their safety and happiness.
We are loyal subjects of His Majesty!
Why will not be taxed?
Indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes. Accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more likely to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, then it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security.
The
Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world.
Traitors! Treason! God save the king! God save the king!
Captain Benders of the Pennsylvania 6, come forward, sir.
More treason! The Continental Congress
I,
of
Brother
Traitors!
Evans, as the head of the Committee of Safety and Observation for Northampton County, do command you to put those men under guard, sir.
I by the King of England to subjugate everyone in this country. Liberty! Freedom! And there's your taxation without representation. Places
Gentlemen, I'm not an unreasonable man. We will keep you under guard, and you will have the pleasure to listen to the rest of the declaration, upon which we shall take you to the jail, where you may leave when you have signed the oath of allegiance that you are not allied to King George III. Any further disturbances and your property will be confiscated. The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused his assent to laws, most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained, and when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly, for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws of naturalization of foreigners and refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers. He has made judges dependent upon his will alone for the tenure of their office and the amount of their salaries. He has made judges dependent upon their will. He has put and sent to us new offices, swarms of officers to harass our people and to eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by mock trial for any murders which they should do upon the people of these colonies, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny already begun, with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy of the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained his fellow citizens taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become their executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers the merciless Indian savages whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injuries. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by our legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstances of our emigration and settlement here. We have appealed to the native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which inevitably would interrupt our connections and correspondence. They, too, have been deaf to the voice of justice and consanguinity. We must, therefore, acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them, as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states. That they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connections between them and the States of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. And that as free and independent states, we have the right to conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may have right to. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other. Now you will repeat after me. We mutually pledge to each other.
We mutually pledge to each other.
Our lives.
Our lives.
Our fortunes.
Our fortunes.
Our sacred honor.
Our sacred honor.
May God long preserve and unite the free and independent states of America. Free huzzah for our new country. Hip hip huzzah! Hip hip huzzah! Hip hip huzzah!
I seen him last time.